Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back to another video on the MFT YouTube channel. Today we are going to be creating a colored card. I'm going to be using this large floral cluster from the Fantasy Floral stamp set. And we're going to be doing some really quick coloring because I want to show you a very quick and easy way to mass produce a bunch of cards. A lot of people are sending cards right now to let people know they're thinking of them. So I thought it would be great to share some card ideas on ways that you can create some quick and easy cards that are still beautiful, have lots of color, which is super cheerful, and can be mass produced to create a bunch at once. So I've picked out 4 different Copic marker colors, and this is all we're going to be using for the coloring. I'm going to use a green color for all of the leaves. I'm not going to change out any greens and do any contrast. And then I've already picked out 3 colors that we're going to use for the flowers. So I have a pink, an aqua, and a purple. I like those colors kind of together and they're really bright, and I just think it's going to cheer up someone's day to receive this really beautiful, vibrant bouquet. So I'm going to go ahead and color in these very quickly. I'm not using multiple shades. I'm not going to do any blending. I'm not going to try and kind of highlight the petals. I'm simply just laying down the color onto all of the areas, making sure that I have the entire image colored in. And you don't need to use Copic markers for this part. If you want to use colored pencils, you can even use crayons if you wanted to. So if you want to involve the kids in the creation of these cards, you mainly just want to make sure that you use some really bright, vibrant colors and they're kind of dark. We're going to be layering vellum over top of this, so you want to make sure that you're going to be able to see the color kind of coming through the vellum. So I picked 3 kind of medium tone colors. They're not super dark, but they're also not really light. So I know that they're going to show through the vellum no problem. If you aren't sure, you can kind of do a test before you fully color your image and just do some scribbling on a piece of cardstock to make sure that you're going to be able to see it. Okay, so now that I have the image fully colored, I'm going to show you now what we're going to do with this card. I have a piece of heavyweight vellum. This is super thick vellum. You can use thinner vellum. The difference is going to be that the thinner the vellum, the more of the stamping and the coloring you're going to see. And it may make it a little bit harder to see the sentiment that we're going to layer over top. So if you do have thinner vellum, then I would just recommend stamping out the image in a lighter ink color, so a gray or a really light brown. And I would also use lighter colors, more pastel colors, so that you don't have so much color kind of shining through that vellum. So once I have the vellum kind of positioned there, I'm holding it in place with some repositionable tape. I'm going to add glue to the back of our die cut piece and position this over top where I want it to layer over the flowers. Once I'm happy with where I have it, I'm just going to press down really firmly to make sure it adheres in place and add the little piece that goes on the top of the eye. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry. You can kind of see when I separate them that we have the smile just attached to the vellum. And what I'm going to do is do the stamping for the sentiment strips we're going to add here. So I'm using the Smile Maker stamp set, and I want to use the Sending a Smile Your Way. But since we've already added the big smile word onto the card, we don't need to use that center area of the sentiment strip. So I just used my paper trimmer and trimmed these all into strips, and now I'm going to use my scissors to cut them apart so I can just have the part of the sentiment that I want to include on the card. Once I have these cut apart, we can start to assemble the card and you'll see how it looks completely finished. And I did stamp out 3 of these sentiments because we are going to create 3 cards in total. You can create a bunch of these, but I just wanted to show you how I did 3 and kind of changed up the colors on the flowers. So for the little sentiment here, I decided I didn't want any foam adhesive. I'm going to just use regular glue. The kind of idea behind these cards is to make them quick and easy, so I want to just use the same glue on all of the different pieces. So I'm just going to figure out where I want to position those, and I'm going to use my grid mat to kind of figure out the spacing and make sure everything is straight up and down. And then I'm going to adhere these in place with that same liquid glue. Once I have those all attached, I'm going to take that same glue pen, and now I'm going to add glue to the back of the vellum piece behind all of those die cut pieces. And this is going to allow me to adhere it to the floral piece, but it's going to hide that adhesive in behind all of the die cut pieces, so you're not actually going to see it. So I'm just going to line it up over top. This is cut slightly smaller than the panel, so I have a tiny bit of a border around the outside edge. And I'm just going to press down really firmly and use an acrylic block to hold everything down until it's fully adhered. And then once I let that sit for a few minutes, you can see now that we have that beautiful flower cluster underneath there, but the vellum has really softened that look and allowed us to add a sentiment over top. I'm going to coordinate my card base with the 2 large purple flowers that we colored in the center. So this is a Lavender Fields card base, and I'm going to attach this directly on there, and our card is finished. We have this beautiful, colorful floral cluster, and we can change up the sentiment to say anything that we want it to say. I liked the smile sentiment that I have on here, but you could change it to say thank you or hello or anything that you want to add to the card. So like I mentioned, I'm going to do 3 of this design. So I have 2 more vellum pieces. I already have 1 adhered, and you can see it's drying there on screen. And now I'm adding the last smile to the last vellum piece. On the flower clusters, I did change up how I colored the flowers. I didn't change the markers, so I'm using the same 4 markers for all of the cards. But what I did is I changed how I colored the flowers. So on the second card, I colored the 2 large flowers in the center with the pink color and moved around the purple and the aqua colors. And then on this last one here, I did the aqua for the large flowers and then also changed up the pink and the purple. And what this is going to do is just give me a little bit of variety in these card designs. And I can change out the card bases to match the center flowers on each of these. So for this one here, I'm going to add it to a razzleberry card base. And then for the third one, I'm going to add it to a summer splash card base, which is going to coordinate nicely with the center flowers that I have on this panel. My original plan was to add the sentiment strips to each of these cards and keep them exactly the same in design, but I decided to change up the aqua one, and I'm not going to add the sentiment strips to the front. I'm instead going to stamp the sentiment on the inside. So for the pink one, I'm just adhering them on with that same liquid glue, and I did move them a little bit. I don't have them in the exact same position as I did on the purple one. And then for the aqua one, I'm just going to leave the smile on the front for a different look and stamp that sentiment on the inside of the card. So I just used some black licorice ink and stamped that directly on the inside. And once I had that done, the last thing I'm going to do that I didn't do on screen, but you will see in the final photo, is I added some clear droplets to these cards as well. I just thought it looked really nice kind of overlapping those flowers and looked really pretty with the vellum that we have layered over top. And now we have 3 completed cards that are great for sending out to let someone know we're thinking of them. And they were very quick and easy to create, and they can be easily mass-produced assembly style since you can do all of the coloring very quickly and adhere everything together at once. I hope today's video gave you some ideas on ways that you can create some quick and easy cards to send out to let loved ones know that you're thinking of them. If you did enjoy today's video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that bell to be notified of future videos. As always, I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.